wonderful meeting you. I hope that wasn't too much information, blow your mind, but here's a quick recap on what all these lessons are. I'm going to take you through the way that I do them. You can take them a little bit slower than usual, but if you need to go slower, you can go up to the top here and hit the little button and change the rate at which the video plays. Pretty sure it won't have anything, won't distort the tone, but it might if you go faster. If you go slower, it doesn't, I think. So long story short, G, C, E, A. Make sure we're in tune. Lesson 1, spider exercises. Purpose of this is to keep our fingers close to the fretboard. Meaning, when we put our fingers down and we take them off, we don't want to swing them out way out into space. They want to be relatively close. Our first 4 fingers control the first 4 frets. If we want to control any more frets, we move up past those frets we played to the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. That, thusly, with Spideys, covers every note on the fretboard all the way up an octave. This one, we're going to want to use our first finger. Once we get comfortable playing the first 4 frets up and down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, da 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 la da 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 ding 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 ding. A flat A, B flat B, C sharp C, D, E flat E, F, F sharp G, G sharp B flat B, C, C sharp. We're going to scoot this first one up to the 5th fret. And start right there with the same thing. Each one of these is going to feel a little bit different each time you do it because the frets actually get a little smaller when you go up. But what happens is this whole process develops something called muscle memory. When you're moving, the muscles in your tendons and your ligaments are actually quite literally changing and forming. If you haven't played this movement before, it might be weird for your forearm, but after you do it a couple million times, you will now attain that muscle to be able to make those. These aren't too off the deep end. When you get all the way up here, you might lose a little bit of it. Make sure to push down hard. These are all pointy notes. You're using the tippy top of the finger, yeah? We're not using it flat, like putting our fingers down. Some chords are played flat, like the D, but you can also play the D pointy if you wanted. What do I say with the D flat? The G is a pointy chord. Each one of these, the B, which is the 3rd, the G, and then the 5th, the D, are being pointy. You don't do them flat. You could do it flat where you borrow all of them like a G major 7 and add the G. So when we're going through these, let's do our rhythm exercise, lesson 2. Lesson 1, Spidey exercises. Get really good at using our first finger on the right hand, not the thumb, moving up and down. When you feel like you've contained them at that speed, here's the slow speed you start at. It's about 50 beats per minute. The end goal is about 120. That's what most rock and roll is. Each note should be clearer than the last one and have the same amount of duration and feeling. Cool? Next lesson, lesson 2. Take every major chord you know how to play using the rhythm exercise and switch on the and of 1. So if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to play a chord like, let's say, G major. 1. Whilst this one's still beating the beat, in 4, we're going to switch on the and. Here's what it'll look like. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 with the switch this time. 1 switch, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and switch and 2. The next one are called half notes. You're going to play on the 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. See how I'm switching the chord right after I play it? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, which means I'm so ready to come back for it the next time. What this whole exercise does by going from the whole tones, the quarters, to the half tone means that you're able to switch these fingers without doing this, which is the layering effect, which happens when you go slow, but when you go fast, it becomes the just laying it down type of feeling. So when I do quarters, all downstrokes, the next obvious thing is I do down and up. Those are eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. The next thing are called 16 notes. We're a little tricky. The slower you do your whole notes, the whole tones, the easier the 16ths will be. The 16ths will actually end up sounding more or less like eighth notes. All right. So here is A major. A, 2, 3, 4. A, 2, A, 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 2 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2. That was really fast, but if I slowed down, I would be able to subdivide those. Here is a slower chord being subdivided. C major. Let's start with our third finger, just because that's naturally where we would play. We would have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and quarter and quarter and quarter and quarter. Eighth notes, eighth note, eighth note, eighth note, 16 notes, 16 notes, 16 notes, 16. So all those are subdivisions, yeah? Do that with every chord you know. I'm going to do a quick chord recap for you just so you see the major to minor movements that I do in first and second finger positionings. Here is a G major, here is a G minor. Here is a G major, here is a G minor. In the first fingering, if you play this G and put your finger down here for this B flat, you can add your pinky to where the G was for a fuller chord, which allows you to chuck with no legato note ringing through. It's staccato, cuts off. That's our G to a G minor. Our next chord is A major. We've got a C sharp, A, and our E. A, C sharp, E is our 1, 3, 5. When we move our pattern like this. Teeter-totter. Second position, first position. Here's A minor, here's A minor. When I take this pattern of the G major to the G minor, put my finger down here and add this, if I scoot that up, that's now A minor. A minor, A flat minor, G minor, F sharp minor, so on and so forth. A, B. So B is just like the other one, the C, except it's scoot down a half step. We've got a partial bar here on the B note and the F sharp, because this is the A, B flat, B, E, F, F sharp. So B and F sharp are down, and then we make the A major shape right there. To get rid of our third or our mediant, because we've got our root, our tonic, the secondary, which is a minor, not a major, it's going to be our sub-root or subtonic. Our third is going to be called the mediant, M-E-D-I-A-N-T, mediant. When we flatten that third, the mediant, it makes a major into a minor. In the B, we're just taking that D and we're going down, I'm sorry, yeah, sorry. D goes to a D flat. So third finger is going to be dropping down to the bar finger. So if we were playing it with the A, B flat, B, we would have a bar and we would remove our middle finger to give us the minor. When we go to the C major, we've got either this or this. Looks just like the B, but here. C, G, E, and then C. I could play it open, I could play it barred. All the same notes. Has the triad of the C, E, and G. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So if I get rid of my 2 and 4, my sus notes, I have C, E, and G. If I wanted to make a C major sus 4, I would take C, D, E, and then F. I would play my C major, but I would add the F note. Whenever I add the 2 or 4, it should sound like the notes are hovering above the resolve. That's a C major sus 4. I incorporated the F. If I have a C major sus 2, I would incorporate the D, right? So how about a lower? Hear how it's still hovering above? It's just a little lower tone. If I was playing an F major, and I wanted to have an F major sus 4, F, G, A, B flat. Here's my A, here's my B flat. So if I play an F major, and add this top note as well, I get an F major sus 4. Hear how it's hovering above? Cool. To get away from this. So D, C, D. So D major has a A, D, and F sharp. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. When I get rid of 2 and 4, I have D, F sharp, and A. That gives me that. That's my major tone. When I flatten the mediant, the third, it goes from an F sharp to an F, giving me a D minor. D major, D minor. When I scoot the D major from my finger positions for my second, which feels comfortable, to my third, and scoot it up to the 4th fret and lay down the second here on the B, I get an E major. D major, E flat, E, or D major, D sharp, E. Oh, just fell into some King Crimson. So our E major, when we flatten the G sharp to a G, we get an E major to a E minor. It just so happens that when we play this E major, we've got the E major, G sharp, E, and then another B right here, right? What happens when we play the E minor, we don't cover this high G and we let it ring, because we got rid of that G sharp, which was dissonant with the G, but in E minor, it fits perfectly. With F major, we got our first finger on the F, our second finger on the A, and the C is actually our 5th. F, A, C, sorry, F, G, A, B, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. C is our 5th, and then A is going to be our 3rd. So when we drop our 3rd, our immediate, down to an A flat, we do this. First finger covers that A flat, the second finger, which was on the A, moves to cover the F we just moved, and we drop down the C. Fingerings from the spider exercises should say if you're playing on the 1st fret with these 2 fingers, the 3rd finger should cover that. I just don't find it comfortable, so I cheat my system and I play with a C here. You can try it that way or keep that out there. If you keep it the way it's supposed to be, I taught you, you will have one more finger to hit other notes that are higher than what those were. So long story short, when you go through these, the F major, F minor, G major, G minor, A major, A minor, B major, B minor, C major, C minor, C major, C minor, D major, D minor, D major, D minor, E major, E minor, E major, E minor. What we want to do to start incorporating our G sharps, our F sharp, our B sharp, which is actually a C. We didn't get into that, but I hope this makes sense to you. I would not say things twice. So when I say notes, I don't say C, C sharp, C triple sharp, F, G, A triple flat, A flat, C triple flat, C flat, C. See how that was nonsense? We use the alphabet A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and omit H to do those 7 tones over and over and over again. What happens when we shift over a tone? If I'm in the key of C sharp and there's 7 sharps, that makes my 7th sharp and my 6th sharp and my 5th sharp and my 4th sharp relative to where my fingers are. So in C, I had C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. In C sharp, I still have that same whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step that I have in every key, but now my naming becomes different. In the key of C, there are no sharps and no flats. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Relatively on the opposite spectrum of that, in the key of C sharp, it has every sharp, all 7 of them. So we have to say C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C sharp. What happens when you play those, you might recognize that when I said C sharp, I was playing a B. No, I'm sorry. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp is a B flat, B sharp is a C. But to get that ti, do, I can't have C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, C flat, C. It just doesn't make sense that way. I can't say C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, C, C sharp. That also doesn't make sense because I'd be double utilizing tones. And when you and I talk, I don't say things twice. Does that make sense? So quite literally, when we're playing these tones together, what you're hearing me do and us do together is playing C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. No sharps, no flats. However, when I go from C to C sharp, and there's 7 sharps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's not enough of them up here, which makes sense. So what happens is your F note that was the F in the C, C, D, E, F, your 4th note, now your E sharp is your F. We don't really call the F an E sharp, and we don't really call the C a B sharp, but guess what? In the key of C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, do, re, mi, it has to be called E sharp when it's an F, in my mind, in your mind, because they have to have a whole step from C sharp to D sharp, a whole step from D sharp to E sharp. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Same difference with the B here. It has to be, that B has to be called a C, or a B, that C needs to be called a B sharp, because it is. It's sharp from a B, but we already have a C sharp. C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C sharp. I hope that made sense. Oh no, you didn't get to see that. Let me see. C, D, this is hard upside down. C, D, E sharp, which is an F. C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, which is the C, C sharp, because I just couldn't double name it. So long story short is, that is a very advanced idea to think about musical notes, but you don't need to know that you're playing a G sharp or an A flat, a B flat or a B, when you're doing these finger exercises. So lesson 1, get comfortable going up and down the fretboard, 5th fret to 8th fret, and then 9th fret to 12th fret as well. Do all those every day, 5 minutes. Change all your majors to minors, and then now let's talk about your major 7th. Your major 7th and your dominant 7th can be formed by shortening the tone of the octave a half step. So in the key of G, we've got a B, which is our 3rd, a D, which is our 5th, and G, E, F, F sharp, G, which is our tone that we're going to be moving. We're going to take our G and move it down a half step. Will give us A, B, C, D, E, F, F sharp, G. So F sharp with the other 2 notes, the B and the D, makes a G major 7. And then if we move this tone down a whole step, it becomes a G7 or a G dominant 7. It's just a little wordy, so we don't call it that. So what happens here is G major 7, G dominant 7. What are we at? A major 7, or play with one finger because your fingers are a lot thicker than mine. It'll look really cool. I wish I could do that. My fingers are, I got pointy little crow fingers. So A major 7, and then A dominant 7. A dominant 7 will be just the C sharp and everything else is open. Interesting, huh? A major 7, A dominant 7. We got a B major 7, B dominant 7, C major 7, C dominant 7, or C major 7, C dominant 7. After C we have D. We've got an F sharp, D, and an A. So we're going to be moving this D down to a C sharp, then a C. So D major 7, D dominant 7. You can even throw that finger down. You get that high C because it's unison of my bookends. D7, what comes after D? E major 7, E7, F major 7, F dominant 7, G major 7, G dominant 7. Also, you don't have to be just in G. You could be in G sharp. G sharp major 7, G minor 7. Which leads me to the next thing. Our poor man's diminished our 7th tone to get it in a course of action through do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That 7th is the same as the 5th. It's just with the 5th triad, no matter what key it is, I add the 7th tone on that triad. In the key of C, I have C major, D minor, E minor, F major. Here's my 5th. G major, just for shoots, A minor, B diminished, and C. Did you notice how the B diminished was the 5th, but made into a dominant chord? Watch. C, D, E, F, G, A, G, C. Just like I would when not say things twice and repeat, note, name names. That GG ain't no GG. It is a BB. So we've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B diminished, C. So what happens if we're in the key of D? We would have 2 sharps in the key of D. The only weird caveat to this is that you might want to play the bar chord over the top and see this. D major is this. After D comes a E minor. After E minor in the key of D, we have F sharp minor. Now our F is right here. Our F minor is right here. If you play your F minor in your secondary fingering, scoot it up one and put down your pointer finger on the only note that was open, that C now is a C sharp. That gives us a F sharp diminish in correlation to do, re, mi. It makes that minor third. Do, re, mi, G major, A major, B minor, C diminished. Looks just like your diminished here, except you scoot it up a whole step in bar. C sharp diminished resolves to D. So D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. If I was doing it in E, I would have E major, F sharp minor, G minor, that's G sharp minor, sorry. So we would have E major, F sharp minor, G minor, G sharp minor, A major, B major, C sharp minor, C sharp minor, comes out D sharp minor, D sharp minor, G sharp minor, C sharp minor, D sharp minor, here, be here, be here. That's D sharp minor. So what happens is there, because our D sharp is supposed to be a diminished, the 7th tone, what we do is we play that same G7 type chord, but now we're in the key of E. So E's 5th would be E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B. So if we make a B major and we make it a 7th, so where's our 7th? That backwards looking chord? That would be our resolution chord for D major, or E major. Da, da, E major, F sharp major, G sharp minor, A major, B major, C sharp, or D sharp, C sharp minor, D sharp diminished. How the chords, they feel kind of weird if you play them on open notes, but if you play that same thing closed, it resolves, right? So what you should try and go through is go through all your chords and drop them into their 7ths respectively. After you drop them respectively from your major 7th to your dominant 7th as well, so something in the way she moves goes to a C major 7, then a C dominant 7, yeah? If you were to transpose that chord and do something in the way she moves, through all those and change all the chords correspondingly up and down the fret. All right, so here's where the next lesson comes in. These are going to be probably the last thing we work on here. These are going to be the scales. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step. 2 whole steps and a half step, 3 whole steps and a half step will lead you towards your Ionian mode, our major mode. So let's start on the key of D. If I were to go up the fretboard, which I never do, but I want to show you how it works, I would go from D to E, which would be a whole step. I would go from E to F sharp, which is a whole step, and then F sharp to G. Going over, I would have D to E, E to F sharp to G. So I've got a whole step, so whole step from the D to E, whole step from the E to the F sharp, and then a half step from the F sharp to the G. Whole step from the G to the A, whole step from the A to the B, whole step from the A to the C sharp, and then half step from the C sharp to the D, giving us D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. You're going to want to use your pointer finger on all these. So what happens, the reason why I teach it on the 2nd fret with the D is it makes more sense to go dum, bum, 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 and then move that up. What happens when you have same thing, but using those open strings tends to throw us for a loop. I don't know why. It's the same thing. Open C, 2nd finger on D, open E, 1st finger on F, 3rd finger on G, open A, 2nd finger on B, 3rd finger on C. Lines up with all of our spiders, yeah? C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C sharp, D D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. I could even go through the fact that we could have E flat, F flat. We could go through all the names, but they're all the same, yeah? E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp, D sharp, A. So try working those all the way up the fretboard. What you will notice when you take away the first whole step, it turns into a different modal structure, which is what we kind of kept on. C major has do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Dorian, then, sorry, I got the hiccups. Pressing all the air on my diaphragm. Dorian, you would still play C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, but get rid of your C and start the phrasing with your D. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. So you took away the C and you added a D. That's Dorian. Listen to it in context. All those notes were still in C major. I just started on a different note. And the reason why they all worked, all the notes that are in the key of C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, worked for D minor. Wouldn't work for D major, but work for D minor. Work for E minor, won't work for E major. Works for F major, won't work for F minor. Works for G major, won't work for G minor. Works for A minor, won't work for A minor. Works for B diminished, won't work for B major. So long story short, when you do these exercises, what you should be doing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. After you get done doing the full scales, try doing 3 notes. C, D, E, C, D, E, E, F, G, E, F, G, E, F, F, G, A, E, F, G, F, G, A, F, G, A, G, A, G, A, B, A, B, C, A, C, B, C, D, B, C, D, C. After you do 3s, try 4s. C, D, E, F, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5, 5, 6, 7, 1, 6, 7, 1, 2, 7, 1, 2, 3, 1. Sorry about the hiccups. I'm already 30 minutes in. I can't do the whole video again. I'm just gonna try and kick them. So after you do the 5-note variations, try 6 notes. C, D, E, F, G, A, D, E, F, G, A, B. And once you get through a couple of these, you'll realize why. You have to move your fingering positions for your fingers to work correctly and for the extensions to be made. When you move your whole step, half step, whole step, half step in different directions, those become modes. The first one's called Ionian, the second one's called Dorian, the third one's called Phrygian, the fourth one's called Lydian, fifth one's called Mixolydian, sixth one's called Aeolian, seventh's called Locrian, and then the resolution for the eighth is still the Ionian. What happens in each one of these? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. When you move the first whole step to the end of the cadence, you get D Dorian. When you move that D Dorian away, you get E Phrygian, then F Lydian, G Mixolydian, A Aeolian, and B Locrian. So if I was in the key of C major and I wanted to play C Lydian, I would think, well, C, D, E, F. F is my fourth note. I would start my C scale from my F. F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. And that would give me, you hear that raised fourth? 1, 2, 3, 4. Instead of, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. It will give you your next modal structure just by playing in the key of C. Then you just kind of learn those increments and you play them in every key. If you're playing in D Dorian and you're in the key of D major, D Dorian would start on your second scale position, which means in D Dorian you'd be starting with your E. Hear how that kind of sounds melancholy, mysterious? And it doesn't have that resolve from, which is major. I can start on F sharp Phrygian. Hear how that kind of sounds Egyptian? When we go through these, you will see the modal structures themselves being able to stand out upon their own by working through the that's a C major. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. A C Lydian would have a raised fourth. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. So there's three majors: Ionian, Lydian, Mixolydian. There's three minors: Dorian, Phrygian, and Aeolian. Aeolian has a whole different subset of modes. But once you get into that, you'll know the other modes and be like, oh, Aeolian's crazy fun. Now I can do all sorts of stuff. You'll start hearing it in different music. Let me think. We covered the majors, we covered minors, we covered everything except for the sus. Let me reintroduce the susses. When I do something like a C major, I have C, D, E, F, and G. When I get my triad, C, E, and G, if I add my fourths, C, E, and F, and G, I have like a C major, which has C, E, and G. Well, if I add my F, hear how it's kind of sustained above the chord? What happens is when we float above that note, we can do it in any chord. So G major, a G major sus4 would have G, A, B, C. So G major plus the C. Hear how it floats above the chord? Try that with a bunch of different chords. Try it with D, add the fourth. D, E, F sharp, G. Well, here's a D. There's my G note. Gives the same effect in every key. All right? So what is another great concept? I think maybe I'll just go through two different structures to show you the pattern of major, minor, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, and then resolution. In C, we have C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and resolution of C. In D, we've got D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, A major, B minor, C sharp, diminished, resolution to D. How about G? G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp diminished, G major. Now F sharp diminished might look funky to you. You might say, hey, that's a D7 with a added fourth, or added, what is it? D minor with an added dominant note, and you're absolutely correct. The fifth plus the seventh tone, so a triad plus the seventh equals your diminished tone. So in the key of G, G, A, B, C, D is your fifth. So if you make your D major a D dominant 7, that D dominant 7 is the same exact chord as a F diminished. Just the same way as in the key of C, excuse me, C, D, E, F, G, A, B diminished. B diminished, if you see, is a G, G major 7, G dominant 7. A C sharp diminished is nothing more than a major in its 7th form. I hope that sinks in and makes sense, because that is a big caveat to moving music. So we've got our tone, our subtone, our mediant, our subdominant, our dominant, submediant, and then our lending tone. Our lending tone is where we take our tritone and add the 7th note in any key. So Having said that, I'm about to asphyxiate from hiccups. I think the last thing that we're going to talk about here is being able to move these shapes up. Because of the cage system, this C major, G, G sharp, A, B flat, B, C, can't have the high G. Because G, C, D, E, F, G is the fifth. As soon as I go to a C sharp, there's dissonance. I could put down my pinky, or I could lay a bar chord. Either way, that's the F shape. So I would suggest doing F, F, F sharp, G, A, B flat, B, something like that. That will get us used to taking our open chords, changing them into bar chords. After that, the other way to get your bar chords a little stronger and faster is to take C major or B major and try this exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, bar chord, don't move your A shape, but bar chord that partial bar to a full bar. 2, 3, 4. Now remove your median. Remove the partial bar, the full bar, and make it a partial bar on just 3 strings, keeping down that same C note you had to keep that C minor, but don't put the major back on the third, and then put the third on. The whole thing is a 4-step process. C, half bar, C, full bar, C minor, no third, C minor partial bar, but add the major. This will give your hand 5 different ways to play the same chord, same 2 chords, and it will challenge your muscles here to develop so they get nice and thick. Your thumb always should be stuck in the back here, at least in the middle or on the bottom half, never wrapped around and never pointing up the other direction, always pointing up. You don't want to grip and strangle this sucker, but you do want to have a little pressure, enough to at least hold it. But the idea is most of the mobility comes from your fingertips. You don't want to strangle it with your thumb. You had no problem holding the ukulele. You can see you've been playing that. It's a beautiful ook. Great job. I've taught a lot of students. You're very keen on what your fingers should be doing. Those spider exercises, moving those up from the 1st fret to the 5th fret to the 9th fret is definitely going to improve your mobility around there and muscle memory. If you have any questions about the plethora of information that we covered here, please put any questions in the comment section and I will get back to you regarding that. We'll see if we can hook up another lesson before you get out of here. If not, I can always send the next ideas to you in the same type of video lesson. Other than that, it was really nice meeting you. Aloha.